Recording in progress.
Your device not on.
I think that's all. And me personally, I think we should postpone the August election. It just doesn't feel right doing it without Mr. Rich. Yeah, you could. Or and I would, Rich, we can make it about him. I don't know if you would go for that. The fundraiser is about the school and the community. The folk will make it go.
Exactly. And folks like Rich.
You know, like, you said you love like that. You said it yourself. Rich is the dopest tool you ever had. So give that man his flowers. Yeah.
Person and virtually. As of this morning, we had 67 in person and 101 virtual registrants. So this is very exciting. I think we're in for a fantastic 3 days. My name is Miriam Bender. For those of you who don't know me, I'm associate professor here at UCI and the founding director of the Center for Nursing Philosophy. I just wanted to acknowledge that the conference began back in 2019 with a vision led by Derek Selman, which I talk about in the program, so you can read the story when you're bored. And I just wanted to thank him right now, for his support and guidance in helping to make this conference a reality here at UCI. The conference is also a reality based on generous sponsorship by UCI, the Center, the National Philosophy of Nursing Society, an anonymous donor who is responsible for your drink tickets and your badges for the cocktail reception tonight. And also the University of Ottawa through Dave Holmes, who is unfortunately having travel snafus and will not be here until tomorrow. So that's a sad. But most of all, this conference would not be happening without the tireless planning of our committee over a year's worth, who now you can see, there we are, who you can see behind me on the screen. Can those of you who are here, please stand if you're part of the planning committee? Upsa Daisy, Jess, Claire. Yes, please join me in a round of applause. Is there anybody virtually there? I can't see everybody, but oh, look, there's some people. There's Sally. Hi, Sally. Hi, darling. And also we have our School of Nursing PhD students. If you could wave your hand and stand up, they will be here for you for the duration of the conference. If you have any questions or any help, they're here for you. And I hope that you'll all agree by the end that we are just going to have a stellar hybrid event this year, which is the first time in the conference's history. Yeah. A very quick word about, speaking of hybrid, a word about the virtual conversations. The Padlet space is open for viewing, and on everybody's table, there's a little, is it the QR or QS? The Q something code, which you can access them. Please check out all the interesting work and share your thoughts with the authors and others. People have already started commenting, so that's exciting. That the virtual conversation space will be open for the entirety of the conference. Please, when you have a moment, go there. And if you're having any trouble, feel free to go to the registration desk and we'll help you access it. For the people in person, that document, oh, hello. Okay. Also has information on where the bathrooms are, how to access the Wi-Fi, and the room location. So there's a map here, so you know. But basically, you're either going to be in this room, you're going to be way down the hall over there at the Newport room, or you're going to be way down the hall over there in the Back Bay room for the duration of this conference. So having done all the housekeeping, I want to hand the podium over to Catherine Green, our current chair of IPONS, and who's been instrumental in making this event happen.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here today, and I know you all are too. It is just great to be back together in person. So those of you who are here, having come from some of you very far away, We are so grateful for your presence. And for those of you who are here virtually, we are so grateful for your presence as well. This is exciting to have IPONS really be global in a way we've never been able to be before. So this is all to Miriam and her technology team have put together this magnificent conference. And all of you who had to do with that, stand up for a second. Jess, technology, they're back there working away. They can't stand up. They're busy, but thank you so much. Okay. So this looks like a groundbreaking, mind-opening, spectacular conference, and I am just so pleased about it. So one thing I want to remind you of, there will be an IPONS executive meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. You've only got 45 minutes, grab your breakfast and head back to the Newport room. And for everybody on Friday morning at 8 o'clock, 45 minutes, grab your breakfast, come back to right here, for the annual general meeting. So I'm looking forward to listening to you all, hearing, learning. Thank you all for coming. Oh, masks. The other thing about masks is there was some confusion about whether you needed masks. And now the data is you don't need it. So if you want to wear it, be our guest. And if you don't, be our guest.
Okay, thank you so much, Catherine. So now I would like to formally introduce you to my dean, Mark Lazenby, who has graciously agreed to formally launch the conference with a few words. Let me just tell you a little bit about who Mark is, and I have to remember to do this. Mark, where are you? There you are. Okay. Mark Lazenby is a professor of nursing and, as I just said, the dean of our School of Nursing. He is a California native and began his lifelong pursuit of social transformation in Southern California, working as a community organizer with underserved youth in East Los Angeles. He brings with him a belief that the profession of nursing is a powerful driver of social transformation, particularly for health equity and planetary justice. This belief is reflected in his Philosophy of Nursing project, which includes a trilogy published by Oxford University Press, which presents a new vision for nursing and its place in the world. The books include something that I don't have right now, two books, and then the forthcoming Practicing the Good Life, the Spiritual Significance of Nursing. I just wanted you to know that Dean Lazenby was a philosopher before he was a nurse. He got his PhD in 2001 from Yale. No, he got it. Oh, I'm so sorry. He got his nursing degree from Yale in 2009, and he can tell you about the philosophy. And he also followed that up with a Fulbright scholar. And since then, he's become an international expert on psychosocial spiritual cancer care. And he is now also our dean since the beginning of this year, January 1st. He hit the job running, and I've had the pleasure of working with him as his associate dean up until now. So please help me in welcoming Mark Lazenby to the podium. Sorry for mangling.
Thank you, Miriam. Can we move past this slide or change the slide? It's just like a picture of myself there is. Thank you. Yeah, as Miriam said, I was a philosopher, happy in a position when, just to tell you the story, when both my parents died very quickly, one after the other. And as I make mention in my very short talk, it was a nurse who showed me what a good death could be for my mother. And that so profoundly transformed my opinion of what philosophy should be doing. I worked on Ludwig Wittgenstein. That was my dissertation at Boston University with the famed Wittgenstein scholar Burton Drebin. Lo and behold, about that time, I read Ray Monk's The Duty of Genius, if any of you have read that book on Wittgenstein, and found out that Wittgenstein himself became a nurse during World War II, which I'll make mention of. and is most famously to have said that philosophers should work with their hands. So I don't consider myself a nurse and a former philosopher, but I am a philosopher nurse. So with that, let me launch into just about a 10-minute formal talk. Since time immemorial, there have been people who have thought about life's enduring problems and questions. This is the definition of philosophy that the University of California famed late philosopher Wallace Matson gave us. And since time immemorial, there has been someone in a group who has cared for the sick, the potentially sick, and the dying. That's the definition of nursing that the late Donna Deers, if any of you knew her, the nurse, gave us. I add, to be more inclusive of what others, particularly in the UK, know as midwifery, I add to my definition the laboring and the birthing. These two ancient traditions, asking life's enduring problems and questions and caring for the sick, the potentially sick, the dying, and the laboring and birthing, have arisen in human development side by side. As I've told you, my own awakening to their interrelatedness came when, as a professional philosopher, I was working on the Ars Moriendi, when a nurse who cared for my dying mother showed me what a good death looked like. Ancient traditions notwithstanding, in the modern history of the academy, something went awry. Once the academy codified philosophy and nursing into academic departments, the side-by-side synergy in everyday life got sucked into the vacuum of the few who decide what counts as academic philosophy and as academic nursing. We who find ourselves uncomfortably in only one department, and I'll say this is my only time as an academic nurse, I've not been also appointed in philosophy. I don't know if that will change, but it's strange. Who find ourselves only in one department, ask ourselves, whence the border wall? But of course, the answer is rather obvious. The hegemony of a professional discipline in the academy depends on unnatural borders. This is true for almost all departments. We can say this of the physical sciences as well. Can they be so cleanly demarcated? For example, is chemistry really anything other than physics or quantum mechanics? This leads us to ask whether and why any discipline should be walled off from another. After all, name a university department, and I can make a case for intersections between it and nursing. I see in the abstracts of this conference much the same questioning. What is nursing? What has nursing sacrificed on the altar of situating itself in the departmental structure of the modern university? What power have other disciplines, especially those within the sciences, exercised over nursing? What makes nursing a science or even an art? I frankly wish, and this harkens to Miriam's talk that she will give later in the conference, I frankly wish we had an arts degree in nursing. In some ways, we make too much of it as either an art or a science. Nursing, after all, is the care of people in their precarity. It will be fascinating to hear Professor Martha Feldman's lecture in a few minutes. For as strong and as resilient as humans have evolved to be human is to be vulnerable to the disruption of health and of life itself. Indeed, precarity is part of the human condition. And as the contemporary philosopher at Yale, Celia bin Habib, has argued, our socio-political activities increase human precarity, which in turn increases our moral duty to respond. That's what nursing does. This is one reason why nurse academics are needed in women and gender studies, migration studies, history, psychology, sociology, political science, and philosophy, and vice versa, why we need them in our discipline. Because nursing fundamentally involves studying how to lessen and the practice of lessening precarity. Likewise, Professor Holt's, I think I saw her walk in, Professor Holt, inaugural Steve Edwards Memorial Lecture, I'm sure will prove enlightening. From the abstract, I wonder whether she will be using an ordinary language philosophy approach to understand how life's enduring problems and questions fit squarely within the practice of nursing. I hope that Professor Holt, you end up in a place in which the distinctions between philosophy and nursing fall away, for both operate in the liminal spaces of life. What is a good life? What is a good death? What is a good society? And what do we owe each other to create the conditions necessary for everyone to lead a good life, to have a good death in a society in which all are valued? On this, I use the work of the philosopher and economist Amartya Sen, who says that ultimately a fair society is one in which all people have equal opportunity to lead the life they have reason to value. One of the spaces for nursing right now is in the workplace. The Rutgers philosopher Joanne Kulia, her current investigations on the moral conditions of work have great implications for the philosophy of nursing. Perhaps this is where the philosophy of nursing can intersect with nursing practice. Of course, this is also a political question. And by that, I mean one in which nursing calls the polis to account for whether it values the work of nurses. Nurses Lynn Malerba, as the newly appointed treasurer of the United States of America, Cori Bush, Eddie Bernice Johnson, and Lauren Underwood as the three members of the House of U.S. Representatives who are registered nurses. These four are doing just that, which raises a question apropos of the invited panel on the practices of epistemic silencing within nursing. Why is it that the four highest ranking politician nurses in the US, and they are fairly highly ranking, why is it that they're American Indian and African American? Perhaps change in nursing will come by breaking through the walls that nursing has placed around itself, walls that are social, political, racial, and sex and gender. But then again, the acts of nursing are always political. To care for someone in their precarity is to address the hegemony that places some people's health in more precarity than comes from the human condition alone. Nursing fundamentally is about giving everyone, as Sen says, an equal opportunity to live a healthy life. Perhaps that is what philosophy has done for nursing, to make patent what we as nurses do for others and ourselves in promoting a good society. Maybe philosophy and nursing should not be thought of as separate after all. I hope that's your argument today and over the next 2 days. Maybe it is not a question of the role of philosophy in nursing, but rather an embracing of the impossibility of disentangling them. Maybe they are not as different as the modern academy would have us think. Maybe Wittgenstein was right when he became a nurse during World War II. Maybe nurses are philosophers who do work with their hands in the essentially contested space of care, to use a term from Professor Robinson's abstract. Joy for Henri Bergson, and I wish I could hear your talk on Bergson but I will have to be at the UCI Foundation meeting. I apologize. Joy for Bergson was a creative emotion. To use the essayist Frederick Buechner's definition of a vocation as doing what brings one joy while meeting one of the world's greatest needs, nursing in the essentially contested space of care is a creative vocation, a morally creative vocation, by bringing joy to the nurse from meeting one of the world's greatest needs by lessening precarity. And so here, at the 25th Annual International Philosophy of Nursing and Nursing Philosophy of Conference, which I must say I feel at home in which the question of the relationship between philosophy and nursing will resound in talk after talk, let us embrace this question fully and tease apart its fine distinctions. For therein, I think we can hope that they will always stay together. As a philosopher nurse, and also the Dean of the UCI Sue and Bill Gross School of Nursing, let me say how I'm delighted that this conference, that these talks are happening here, hosted by the UCI Center for Nursing Philosophy, chaired by Miriam Binter, the center's director. And so without further ado, let me extend my sincerest congratulations to Miriam, to the center, and to the conference committee for putting together such a tremendous program, and to all of you for taking such great care to prepare scholarly panels, presentations, and abstracts. My warmest welcome to you, a California welcome, as you begin your important work over the next 2.5 days. Welcome to the University of California, Irvine, to the Sue and Bill Gross School of Nursing and the Center for Nursing Philosophy. We are delighted you are here, wondering about how what we do as nurses addresses some of life's most enduring problems and questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. We are having a couple of minutes. We're already early. Yay. So we have about 10 minutes before the keynote address. So what we're going to do for those of you who are here online, we're going to go ahead and turn off this session. So we'll see you we'll see you over on the other side in the next session. And we'll begin at 1:30. So a little time for a break. Okay. Thank you.